Following this, we got a quest to kill everyone inside this preschool. Don't worry, the kids are all dead. We're just
Reggie! Welcome back to the channel, you butt gremlin. Today we're gonna be watching some Reggie. What? Fallout 4 and everything's in Nuke. So this is the proper way to play Fallout 4, in my opinion. But yeah, let's get into it.
I want to introduce you to a world where bullets were never invented. Instead,
Explosion?
humanity went straight to nuclear weapons, meaning that every firearm, from a homemade pistol to a minigun, is capable of unleashing Armageddon upon your enemies. In this world, there are only three rules. 1, you shoot first, or you don't shoot at all. 2, you should always have a backup plan in case you run out of ammo. And the most important of all is that water gun fights are now strictly off limits. In a post-apocalyptic setting such as this, there's only one thing left to do. Slavery.
No,
If you ever watched a soot-encrusted Indonesian man mining sulfur for 7 cents a day and thought to yourself, damn, he's ripping us all off. Then I have news for you, because we are the same person. All of that is to say, I'm a big fan of capitalism, and when it comes to maximizing shareholder value, nowhere does it better than NUKE World. Some people will call this a defunct amusement park, taken over by erotic cosplayers, but really, it's just a different kind of amusement now, because we have hundreds of people forced into slave labor using explosive collars. From the moment I saw this 8 years ago, I knew it was my destiny to be the CEO of this wonderful business. So that's our goal. Utilize weapons of mass destruction to take over NUKE World and usher in an era of mega slavery. Stopped by literally anyone with a gun. There's only one way to tell. But first, I have to watch my wife get shot. That part plays out a little differently in this timeline.
Yeah,
so my wife
just
and son
a little.
were vaporized in a thermonuclear blast. Unfortunate, but from their ashes, a hero was born. We escape the vault and enter into a world whose color scheme could best be described as 50 Shades of Vomit. From here, we could go straight to NUKE World, but we're level 1, and we have about as many items as a paranoid schizophrenic who thinks the government is spying on him through his microwave.
I mean,
so instead, we'll spend a few hours gathering supplies and trying to reach level 15, at which point we should be ready. I saunter my way into what I assume is modern-day Los Angeles, at which point a Cockney robot attempts to socialize with me, but that's exactly what they expect me to do. So instead,
that was
I jump on top of my neighbor's roof and dive headfirst into a pool of radioactive sewage. That ought to throw them off. Our first goal is to find a gun, because the power spike from punching things to nuking things is pretty substantial. After wandering around, I find a dead body with a revolver on it, and upon testing it out on some nearby wildlife, I was both excited and terrified at the world I had created. I made my way into a nearby town where usually a small group of bandits is fighting with some Minutemen, but now a small group of bandits is committing a nuclear holocaust with some Minutemen. And if you think this is bad, you should have seen it before.
Okay, I really thought it was just gonna be his gun nuking everything. But I was indeed very much wrong. It's everybody's gun.
Explosion effects. Anyway, I tried silently assassinating the raiders. This was met with very limited success. Eventually, I got tired of role-playing as a high-altitude weather balloon, so I nuked the bandits and entered the museum to help the Minutemen. Or rather, I tried to enter the museum, because as dangerous as nuclear warfare is outside, it's 10 times worse inside. And I got spawn-killed for about 20 minutes before I finally made it past the front door. But by that point, I had been ground zero for roughly 35 nuclear detonations. My ears were ringing, my retinas were fried, and there was a very distinct possibility of me vomiting all over my keyboard. But my noble goal gave me the strength to continue. From here, I went room by room, clearing out the raiders in close quarters combat. This is a fantastic way to learn the exact blast radius of a nuclear bomb, because if you're off by even an inch, your limbs will eject from your body like rocket-propelled grenades. Eventually, I made it to Preston Garvey, who wasted no time complaining about how hard his life is. Just wait until he hears about my plans for NUKE World. Preston had me climb up to the roof and equip this suit of power armor. I was feeling very confident until a drug-fueled maniac popped out from around a corner and gave me both barrels of his shotgun, a phrase which has recently intensified in meaning since each pellet is now its own nuke. Honestly, I had a lot of difficulty at this section because
I
the
love
minigun
it.
takes half a second to spin up, and if a raider happens to squeeze out even a single shot in that time, it's all over. But if I've learned anything from watching a homeless man avoid arrest by drinking his vodka out of an antifreeze bottle, it's that necessity breeds innovation. Come to think of it, that might have actually just been antifreeze. Regardless, I pioneered a new combat strategy. That is the mortar technique. Instead of shooting at my enemies, I just kind of carpet bombed the entire town with
God, he's gonna explode. There's no way he doesn't accidentally.
And it worked really well. From here, I jumped off the roof and did my best to crush Preston like
Oh
an
my
ant.
god. He's
When
gonna
that
shoot
failed,
him.
I settled for finishing off the raiders and laughing at the Death Claw's
Oh
attempt to
my
intimidate me.
god,
Following
it
this,
went for
I
a
went
ride.
inside, Preston thanked me, and Mama Murphy gave me the perfect setup for a joke.
We're all gonna
no.
die eventually.
Yeah. Yep.
After
Called
reloading,
it.
we all went to Sanctuary and started drinking from the same toilet bowl because we are now friends.
Okay, that
In
actually
fact,
looks good,
Sturgis
though.
asked me if I could build everyone.
Listen, if someone shoved a bunch of gummy bears and shit on a toilet, and the toilet had never been used, maybe. Maybe. You know, it's clean. It's clean.
On some beds so they didn't have to sleep underneath bridges and inside of burnt out cars. I looked him straight in the eye and said I would do that. Of course, I was lying. In fact, I immediately left Sanctuary and never contacted any of these strange people again in my entire life.
We're running,
At
we're
this point,
running.
we're level 3, and I've got a decent selection of guns, but I'd still like to gain access to some better perks before taking on NUKE World. So I began doing odd jobs around the wasteland.
Ask for
First
money.
mission, a filthy woman wants me to go to this place and kill all of these people.
Oh, that's
no
easy.
Problem.
Just
I
yeah,
traveled
no
to the
problem.
Corvega factory
Explosion!
and start using my mortar technique to soften up their defenses. It takes only 9 seconds for me to accidentally nuke myself. That's a personal best. Eventually, I make my way inside and begin atomizing the inhabitants while the building vibrates violently with each shot. Luckily, the other raiders convinced themselves it was just the wind. Now,
yeah, it's just the wind, you know? It's not a man with a mini fucking nuke
but you'd be
with every
wrong,
gun.
and I found this out the hard way. Because the
Don't do
spread
it.
on a shotgun means it's almost impossible to aim it straight. And despite your best efforts, you will
it's not
hit
gonna
either
work.
the floor or the ceiling. And the resulting blast will almost certainly turn
kill
you into
you.
a human jigsaw puzzle. This happened to me more times than I'd like to admit. Before I begrudgingly filed the double-barrel shotgun next to Reggie fan meetup in the category of things that sound fun but will probably get me killed. I also tried hacking into this cute little security robot so he could help me clear out the bandits. He lasted all of 3 seconds before they murdered him in cold blood.
That's yeah, we all saw that coming, Reggie.
This was the single biggest mistake the raiders could have made, because his existence was the only thing stopping me from doing this.
Oh my god. Okay, alright. Oh my god, how many times did you die during this?
Yes,
I need a death
the
counter.
bandits were dead. Completing this quest got us to level 6 and allowed me to unlock the Mysterious Stranger perk, which is now substantially more satisfying because yes, he does shoot nuclear bombs.
Oh my
This was
god.
good, but we still have a long way to go, so I continued on my quest to convert every living being into experience points.
Oh my god. Okay, it
It
makes
went a little
sense.
like
I mean,
this.
experience
I start the day
points.
with some train yard hobos. First you shoot them, then you beat them. 8 experience each.
You should
Also,
beat
tried
them?
my
Oh
hand
my.
at cattle
Alright.
wrangling.
No. Oh. Alright, poor
I think
cows.
I'm a natural. A
Yes,
shipyard?
you are.
Break
You very
into
much
a
are.
shipyard. It's full of murder crabs.
Okay.
No,
All
it's
right.
not. Apparently, the owner was trying
Cleared.
to
We're
domesticate
cleared.
them by playing soothing messages on the PA.
Aw.
It
Only
didn't work. That was a lot of
yeah.
effort. Let's go ahead and take a rest for the night in this old building. Never mind,
sleep.
the universe hates us, and we've just been ambushed
Oh
in our
my
sleep
god!
by attack
Run!
dogs. Plunged
Run!
the world into nuclear winter in retaliation.
Oh my
After that,
god.
I went to Bunker Hill, where I spent 20 minutes marveling at the ugliest human being I have
I
ever
don't
seen.
think they're that
which is
bad
strong
looking.
words coming from someone who looks
Yeah.
in the mirror every morning. Once I was done, I went to the Drumlin
Ooh,
Diner
wait.
to try
I
to
just got
negotiate
that.
peace between some raiders and the store owner. When I told the lady I wouldn't be taking her side, she presented me with a very compelling argument. But two
That
can
is a
play at
compelling
game.
argument. Okay then. All right. That is a very
Say
compelling
what you
argument.
want, but this is the fastest
Very
method
compelling.
of de-escalation. Following this, we got a quest to kill everyone inside this preschool. Don't worry, the kids are already dead. We're just killing raiders. I nuked every-
Reggie!
Room with extreme prejudice, but still died anyway.
Oh my
because
god.
The whole place is booby-trapped, and tripwire guns now fire atomic bombs.
Yeah, actually. Oh
but it's
my
okay,
god,
because
that's
we can
crazy.
always retreat to the public bathroom to brew more health potions.
Oh my god.
Eventually, I find their leader and introduce him to the concept of a glory hole before stuffing his
glory
charred corpse into a garbage bin.
God.
Finally, I finish by releasing all of his captives, except for you. Someone has to stay behind to tell the people about my good deeds. After all that, we're now level 10, and I've even figured out how to craft bear traps, which I have successfully stress tested on a small child.
Meg. Oh,
Let's
no.
finish up a few more quests and then go straight to NUKE World. I was in Bunker Hill admiring the absolute girth of this man's biceps when I was approached by Edward Deegan. He took me to Cabot House to accept a quest from John Cabot, who wants us to steal some secret serum from a psychotic gentleman living in a shack on top of a hill. Which is fine. However, John bears a striking resemblance to the Zodiac Killer, and so I wasn't sure if I could trust him. That's why I covertly stole and hid exactly one of his pool balls. If he betrays me, he'll never get this back, and the loss of a singular ball in an otherwise perfect set will almost certainly drive him to a suicidal rage. This is what we call establishing collateral. Anyway, I went to the insane guy's shack to get the serum, but an acorn fell on the ground.
An acorn?
So I
Did you
spent the next
spooked?
55 seconds nuking the man's house until
an acorn fell on the ground and spooked you, and your best thought is to nuke the entire barn. Alrighty then, that sounds right. Sounds good to me.
Getting hit markers.
Sounds great.
I grabbed the vial, went back to Cabot, lied to him, and said the serum was gone before taking it out of my inventory, waving it in front of his face, and injecting it into my neck just for fun. For good measure, I also smashed a bunch of his research equipment and stole this fancy camera. Only one more quest to go, then we're off to NUKE World. It's time to go help Paladin dance. I rushed to his distress signal as fast as I could, but upon arriving, it seemed like he had things under control.
Yeah, he does.
I talked to Dance, and he asked me to accompany him on a mission to salvage technology from some nearby ruins. This
I don't know how that
quest was
person's doing
awful,
that.
but I do have a few tips. First of all, you're going to come across a gang of bandits robbing some traders. This is an interesting interaction that I recommend observing from a distance. Second, if you hear any variation of the phrase, "We've got company," you need to run for cover, because there is a 90% chance Paladin Dance is about to pivot like LeBron James.
Oh my god, and kill you,
of you for being within 20 feet of a bloatfly.
Yeah. Can you just imagine the AI you're trying to walk around with just does a 360 flick on your head because there's someone behind you and you just explode?
When you do
Can you
finally
imagine
make it
that?
to the destination, the synths inside are very dangerous, so I recommend a tactical approach, such as watching through a sheet of plexiglass as Paladin Dance does all the hard work. Also, when you get to the basement, don't forget to accidentally melt off Dance's face with this rocket exhaust. Trust me, he actually likes it. After that, you just go upstairs, grab the tech, and it's all over.
Then.
It's not a great quest, but it does give us the junk jet, which is some kind of pneumatic catapult for weaponizing random garbage. While it doesn't fire atomic bombs, it does allow me to kill my opponents by cracking them in the forehead with dirty cigarette trays, which is something that resonates with me deeply.
But it's not exploding!
Finally, we're now level 16 with maxed out luck, a few helpful perks, and a new rifle that has a 50-round drum mag along with a bayonet for close quarters combat. But before we go any further, I need to warn you about something, because the fine people at Makeshift have infiltrated my apartment, stolen my genetic material, and created hundreds of clones of me that are conveniently the correct size and shape to fit inside of a mason jar. But you wouldn't do that to me, right? Anyway, for a limited time, we're going to be selling these.
Listen, if you fit in the mason jar, you go in the mason jar. I don't make the rules. I don't make the rules, Reggie. If you fit, you sit, and you go in, and we keep you like that. I hope you understand.
Reggie plushies, and I highly recommend picking one up. But Reggie, what can I use this for? Well,
putting
I
it in a
like
jar.
to use mine as my own personal hostage. You see, he's relatively small, which makes him very easy to overpower. Sometimes I also like to wave a big knife in front of his face. It fills me with a sense of control that I've long since lost in my life. Also, he has no legs with which to run, no mouth with which to scream, only eyes with which he may observe me perform my elaborate war dances as I prepare to take his life. life. But if that's not exactly your style, he also makes a pretty good stress ball. So you've got 30 days to take me hostage. Do you think you have what it takes? If so, click the pinned link in the comments.
No,
and
I'm
put
watching
yourself
this
down
too
for as
late.
much of me as you think you can handle. Then prepare yourself. Now back to the video. I arrived at the NUKE World Transit Center with determination because from here we can take a tram to the amusement park. The only thing stopping us is a small army of bandits, robots, and rooftop snipers.
Oh god. NUKE World, we're ready.
We're
ready.
Oh
my god.
On just firing 30 nukes into the sky and
I don't blame you for that one. I really
all
don't.
Of my enemies were turned to ash. I made my way down to the tram where this guy was telling me raiders had taken his family hostage at NUKE World. Apparently he escaped but was shot in the process. But the fact he didn't have a single drop of blood anywhere on his body
looks
led me
fine.
to believe this man was a liar. So I politely
excused
myself, loaded up my junk jet with steel ingots, and then came back and pulverized his heart with a high velocity metal slug.
That's a little.
Now his story about being wounded is a lot
It's
more
actually
believable.
true. Yeah,
After this, I jumped on the tram and it took
makes
me
sense.
to the promised land. I arrived, and it was beautiful. A voice came over the speaker and told me two things. One, I'm trapped, and two, the only way to escape is to survive the gauntlet. I surveyed my surroundings and found the dead bodies of several half-eaten male prostitutes.
Oh,
so
not the male eaten what? Whoa. Male what? What did I miss out on? What?
Give it a shot. Room 1, a large lobby full of rusted junk. If the tetanus doesn't kill you, the machine gun turrets firing nukes definitely will. Also, the ceilings are very low, which makes it easy for you to blow yourself up. So I recommend using VATS. Even if your chance to hit is low, it doesn't really matter, because atomic bombs are more of a to whom it may concern type weapon anyway.
To whom it may concern type of weapon?
This room was supposed to be armed with several booby traps. However, the nuclear detonation we unleashed on the last room seems to have spilled over and disabled most of them. The key word being most.
Oh god.
After reassembling my body parts, I moved to room 3, which presented us with 3 doors to choose from. Door 2 was a room full of human heads.
Oh no, run.
The
monkey's gonna explode.
Nutting, while door 3 contained a bouquet of live grenades. I'm flattered. Escaping through door 1 led us to a radiation room, which was giving me 60 rads per second.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
To avoid developing Stage 4 League of Legends, I took a near
Stage 4 League
of...
Wait, listen, that's so true. So freaking true. Stage 4 League of... This is why I can't touch that game. No touchy. No touch.
I found the keys to escape. Next was a maze full of bizarre traps and animatronic aliens.
Shot. Oh my god.
Simple.
Alright,
Just don't
Reggie.
underestimate the overgrown rats,
Oh, they're
because
so
they will
cute.
not hesitate to put you down. After this was a tunnel full of landmines. Sprint through it at top speed and across this definitely up to code wooden bridge. Uh-oh, it collapsed, and you're now being attacked by shellfish. Assert terrestrial dominance before proceeding to the hardest room of all,
shoot them.
the gas
Pre-fire.
chamber. It's here where we get locked into a room which is quickly filling with phosphine gas. If we don't get through this door in the next 30 seconds, we'll be dead. So here's the plan. Take a bunch of drugs to numb the pain of your lungs being dissolved. Stab all these bugs while making sure to fill your pockets with their succulent meat for later. And then hop on this computer and open the escape door. That leads us to a shed full of flying ants, which are surprisingly difficult to hit with a nuke. The torture of this room is a little more abstract, but it's very real nonetheless. Then quickly run through this cage area while people shoot at you from above. Just kidding. You can't do this quickly, and you're going to die at least a dozen times.
A dozen?
But after
Oh
that,
my
we're
god.
finally at the last stage of the gauntlet. See that guy down there in the power armor covered in blood? Yeah, we're going to fight him, and he's invincible. But we have a secret weapon. It's not a high-powered rifle or even a rocket launcher.
Underneath?
Instead, our secret weapon is a plastic water gun. The plan, in theory, is that our enemy is receiving power to his suit from this exposed electrical line. And if we can cover him in water, well, that probably wouldn't be very good. Alright, let's give it a shot. They counted us down and opened the gates, at which point I charged headfirst into my opponent. He responded by blowing off all of my limbs with a nuclear bomb. Clearly, we need a different approach.
Clearly it didn't work,
The guy
Reggie.
is actually invincible, but I found out that I can stay in the starting area and snipe him with the water gun to disable his armor. Then I followed up with like 20 nukes to finish him off.
Dude,
Following
playing the game like this is just like a cheat.
Happens, but I'm going to summarize it really quickly. That guy we just electrocuted, yeah, he was the CEO of NUKE World. And the raiders that live here seem to put a lot of respect on violently murdering your political opponents. So they now recognize me as their leader. This is fantastic.
We're the
and
leader.
It comes with a lot of perks. For example, I now live at the peak of Fizz Top Mountain with a lovely view over all of my employees.
Oh my god, you mean,
One of my elite
Oh god.
Also, since I'm
no.
the boss, I can go to the market, steal things right out of the display case, and then sell them back to the shop owner for free money. The downside is that NUKE World is divided into 6 parks, with only one of them being under our control. So it's our job to liberate the remaining parks directly into my authoritarian governance. Then, once we have them, we can distribute them to the different raider factions according to which of their political philosophies I find the most amusing. So it's time to go meet the gangs. Operating out of Fizztop Mountain is the Disciples, which is a faction that couldn't be any edgier even if they were actively
I thought, Jesus, alright.
Juxtaposed against the fact that they don't know how many belts you can wear before people stop taking you seriously. Overall, they're my second favorite.
At least they're not
the
naked like you.
Is the operators. Their primary concern is making money at the cost of human life, which is my personal favorite philosophy.
Your personal favorite
philosophy? Mental disorder, which precludes them from wearing clothes that actually fit. I don't know exactly why, but this makes me extraordinarily angry, and I regularly have to restrain myself from killing them. Fortunately, I found a good compromise. Instead of creating a civil war by nuking their entire faction, I just swing by every few days, find a random operator, and secretly deposit a live grenade in his pocket. Lastly, there's the pack. They have a relatively experimental aesthetic, along with a nice selection of chairs. But whenever you want to talk to their leader, you're going to be forced to listen to the bite.mp3 sound effect for hours on end, because they installed a dogfight pit in the middle of their base. This immediately and irrevocably disqualifies them from receiving any further attention from me whatsoever.
That makes sense. I understand.
With introductions out of the way, it's time to start expanding our operation and making some big money. There's 5 parks to acquire: Galactic World, Dry Rock Gulch, Safari Adventure, the Nuka-Cola bottling plant, and Kitty Kingdom. First up is Galactic World. This is a space-themed park inhabited by hundreds of robots. However, someone spilled their Dr. Pepper on the AI mainframe, and it caused the robots to become violent murder machines. It's not great for business, so I went there and started fighting my way through the streets. The first thing I noticed was that there's plenty of laser turrets all over the premises. Luckily, they don't seem to work very well, and usually spend their entire time in a life-or-death battle against the ceiling. However, don't get too comfortable, because on at least one occasion, the air pressure from these explosions caused my cranium to detonate forcefully. Other than that, just keep an eye out for Mr. Frothy, who is very fast and will startle you into jumping off a bridge and subsequently dying in a nuclear explosion.
Alright.
Anyway, I made my way to the control room, where I'm able to turn off the robots. Only problem, it's broken, and it needs a total of 20 star cores to repair it. Unfortunately, they're scattered all over the park in the safekeeping of several automatons that would like to crush my neck like a can of soda. But much like a restraining order, I viewed this as a challenge rather than a problem. Do you really think I can't get within 100 feet of you? So I began wandering around looking for these cores, which led me to a building called the Rock Gulch Battle Zone. My hopes of this name being metaphorical were quickly dashed when upon entering I died about 37 different times. Part of the issue is that the mini-nuke mod isn't working perfectly on the robots, and some of them are shooting me with laser beams. While my supple body is perfectly optimized for dying
what are you doing, Reggie?
It does very little to protect me against this space-age technology. But just like how the lifeguards at the YMCA can't stop me from drinking the pool water,
not the pool. That looks like
couldn't
piss.
Stop me from
that looked like
blasting
piss
my way
water.
into the battle zone. At which point, I was promptly locked inside and forced to fight a variety of enemies which entered from these doors and these hydraulic platforms. The robots were tough, but the primary difficulty in this cramped space was finding a place to detonate a nuke that wouldn't instantly vaporize me. First, we had to survive some protectrons and a swarm of eyeballs.
Oh my god. There's definitely no problem. Definitely.
Even easier. Then our final opponent was
I feel like he made this game 20 times harder than it needed to be. Like, just trying to survive nukes seems like a pain.
Sentry.
Like, oh, big boy. Oh, he's dead. Yep. Dead again? No? Yeah, thought so. Big boy. Yep. I wonder how many times he died here. I'm curious. How many times did he die here?
He got the better of me. But
yeah,
as the saying goes, fool me once, Shame
Shame
on
on
you.
you.
Fool me twice. I'll obliterate you with nuclear weapons. And we
That's
did
not how it
just
goes.
that. With the battle zone conquered, I gathered all the space cores and moved on to the next building, the Interstellar Theater.
Ooh.
Surely a fucking theater can't be as dangerous
Yes,
as
it
the
can.
battle zone,
Yes,
I
it
thought
can.
to myself. But boy,
Yes.
was I wrong.
Yeah,
Very, very wrong.
That is scary.
The entire auditorium was full of robots, and honestly, I was only
Oh,
able to conquer
God.
this area through the repeated use of a strategy I like to call kill one guy and then save the game. While searching for the Star Cores, I found a Nuka-Cola mixing
blame 'em.
station, which allowed me to combine a Nuka-Cola beer with another
Oh.
Nuka-Cola beer to create double
Nuka
beer.
Buzz.
Some people will claim that
Yes.
AI and vaccines are the greatest
Oh.
advancements of the past century, but to that I ask, can you get drunk on polio vaccines? I
No.
didn't think so. That's why double beer is the real
Double
scientific
beer,
pinnacle
double
of our
beer.
generation. After completing my schizophrenic monologue about alcohol, I found the Star Course next to a few decomposing junkies in the washroom. Very
Decomposing.
nice. The
All
last
right.
building wasn't as bad. Vault Tech Among the Stars is a recreation vault life experience, outfitted with realistic living rooms, indoor gardens, and
It's
even
so
an entire
nice.
room dedicated to giving you cancer.
It's
I'm
so
feeling nostalgic
nice.
already. Strangely, as my character progressed through this area, he was getting recurring headaches. I chalked it up to a brain tumor and thought nothing of it. But it turns out the whole vault was actually just one
God.
giant experiment in subliminal messaging. According to this observation log, they're broadcasting a high frequency over the PA that's meant to induce degenerate behavior such as pissing your pants.
Pissing
Joke's
your
on them. They
pants?
just
What?
wasted millions of dollars to make me do something that I was already going to do
Yeah,
anyway.
same.
Following this, I
Same.
slaughtered a bunch of automatons, found a really nice shotgun, immediately flashed back to all of those times
Oh,
I killed
no.
myself with a shotgun, and then
Yeah, put it
quickly
away.
unequipped it
Yeah,
before
put it away.
finding the remaining Star Cores and rushing back to the mainframe. With the help of
Meow.
computer scientist extraordinaire
Oh, he's
and
dead, though.
definitely not dead person Kendall
Yeah.
Alston, I was
Yeah,
able to repair
you
the
killed him.
computer and
Mhm.
pacify all of the AI, meaning we can now
Nice.
walk around the park without having to worry about a medical robot electrifying our
He wants
testicles.
to zap
With
your
the
buns.
robots subjugated, I went upstairs and raised a flag to officiate the conquest of
You've
galactic
won,
world.
it's your
Our
land
empire is
now.
expanding, and the next theater of war is the Wild West.
Oh.
Dry Rock Gulch is an arid wasteland inhabited primarily by dead bodies, which should make it an easy target. So I made my way there and quickly realized where all the dead bodies came from. Because within moments of arriving, I was attacked by subterranean bloodworms. Yeah, these little bastards
least they
tunnel
don't shoot
around
nukes.
underground and then ambush you when you least expect it.
Yeah.
Which means they're either underground, so you can't kill them, or they're firmly latched onto your jugular vein in such a way
I was
that
gonna
makes
say
using
latched
a
onto
nuclear
your
bomb
peener,
seem a
but you
little
know,
too
same
risky.
concept.
In this case, I recommend treating the entire area as a
With
high-stakes
nukes.
game of
Just
the
shoot the
floor
entire-
is lava.
yeah. Yep. I saw it
Eventually, I
coming.
came down to chat with the sheriff, who informed me that he'll give us the park if we can get rid of the bandits coming out of this building. One problem, the building is locked, and I need combination codes from the Giddy Up Kid, One-Eyed Ike, and Phosphorus Pete to gain entry. I really wish he told me this before I carpet bombed the entire park, because I'm pretty sure I killed all of those people. This was an irritating development, but my anger quickly faded after the sheriff appointed me as his deputy and gave me this excellent cowboy
that's so
outfit.
cute!
Upon reloading the save,
Yeah,
I
little
found a Giddy
cowboy.
Up Kid who explained that some cattle rustlers had stolen
Oh
his
my
loyal
God.
steed, and he wants me
Oh.
to bring it back.
Bye,
In
bye,
case you're
pony.
wondering, he's talking about an inanimate object, but it was like 4 a.m. at this point in the recording,
Oh my
so I
God.
just played along with it.
Rustle up some horses for you, huh?
Yeah.
I'll be back before sundown.
I searched the grounds for all of 13 seconds before finding the torso of a giddy-up buttercup stuffed inside this man's anal cavity.
Oh,
I grabbed
damn,
it
did you
and
rip it
dropped
out?
its dismembered body inside the horse pen. Our friend was mildly dismayed.
What happened to Giddy Up Buttercup? Butchered her
yeah.
up like a cow.
But he still gave us his part of the combination code, so I don't really care. Next,
Yeah,
I sauntered
well, it
into
makes
a saloon
sense. You
where
did
I
what he
met
asked.
Phosphorus Pete. He wants us to deliver some Nuka-Cola to the
Oh?
residents of Dry Rock Gulch. No problem.
The people of Dry Rock Gulch.
And before you ask, yes, all of the people we delivered soda to were in fact dead
Dead.
bodies.
Yeah,
which I
that
made
makes
sure
sense.
to tell Pete.
I'm afraid
They're all
everyone's
dead.
dead.
Yeah.
That ain't good. good.
Doesn't
That
matter. The
ain't
quest is done,
good.
and Pete rewarded us with his code, along with a large quantity of alcoholic Nuka-Cola, which I
damn.
quickly became
That's
addicted to.
nice.
From here, I sought out One-Eyed Ike
Yeah,
to
we would
complete our
do-
final test, which,
That's-
much to my dismay, would be a duel at 10
Oh,
paces.
fuck.
Ike gave me a 44 Magnum and started
Oh,
counting
no.
down, but unfortunately, I was still stun-locked by the idea that an amusement park mascot
Oh,
was
God.
programmed to hand out loaded revolvers to children before shooting them, which resulted in
Oh,
Ike
yeah,
getting the better of me. Second attempt at the duel, I won. But
Oh
I
my
won
God.
a little too hard, and Ike wasn't alive to give me his code. Third time's the charm. For this, I decided to swap to the junk jet, and after blasting Ike in the head with a steel ingot and an empty
Yeah, that
beer
makes
bottle,
sense.
he conceded defeat and gave me the final piece of code. Now we can
Nice.
enter this mine
At least
shaft,
he's not dead this
destroy
time.
the Bloodworm Queen, and claim Dry Rock Gulch.
Nice,
Honestly, this
though.
part
He's-
was pretty
he's
easy.
progressing
There's
so
really only
fast
two
now.
things you need to do. One, make sure you break into the office
Yeah.
so you can equip this
Mhm.
cool duster and pretend you're playing an actually good Fallout game. And this last
What?
thing should go without saying.
Actually
but do
good?
not jump into
I thought
pits
they
full
were
of dead
bad.
cows, because they'll erupt
Oh
with
my
dozens of
God.
bloodworms, and it makes for a very
Oh,
stressful
God. They're
experience.
latching
Other
on to
than
you.
that, I just nuked everything
latching
inside
on.
and completed the quest. Not too bad.
No, not too shabby, if I
After
say so
raising the
myself.
flag, we're all done at Dry Rock Gulch, and on to the next target, Safari Adventure. I approached the park and observed a man doing battle with a large creature. I chased it off by shooting it with 3 nukes, all of which it survived. This was not a good sign. Anyway, the guy started talking to me, and from a distance I had assumed he was some kind of male stripper, meant to appeal to the female
I
fantasy
mean,
of
he is-
being bludgeoned to death with a sledgehammer.
Oh,
but actually,
listen.
he's just a cave
I don't know about the sledgehammer part, but the other part, you know, like, I mean, not the sledgehammer, just the other part. I'm
man
okay
who
with
was
the other
raised
part.
by gorillas, which is marginally more believable.
Oh.
His name is Cedo, and he used his caveman
Tito,
dialect
why does he
to
look like
explain that
Drago
Safari
from
Adventure
Game of Thrones? Am I wrong? His name's Drago, right? It looks exactly the same.
is overrun with gator claws that are being cloned in a big triangle
big
house, and I need
oh,
to
God.
disable the cloning machine to claim the park. I briefly considered putting a revolver in my mouth as a preferable alternative, but after I heard him using 150% of his brain power to forcibly enunciate the word facility, I felt
Facility.
bad and
Oh,
accepted
stay
the
with
quest.
family. Yeah.
So I set out searching for a key to the triangle house, and thankfully the gators weren't much of a
Oh
problem.
my God.
I mean, they didn't have any nukes, which was a pretty big deal right off the bat.
Yeah,
However,
if they don't have
are
a nuke to
very
explode you, it
tanky,
makes
so
sense.
just use literally any gun that goes full auto, and you should be absolutely
Oh!
fine. In fact, if you want to make it especially simple, you can just go to the top of this treehouse and firebomb the
Oh
entire
my
map.
God!
Honestly, I think the hardest
Reggie!
battle I had here was against my alcoholism that I had acquired
my
in
God.
Dry Rock Gulch. Eventually,
He's
I found the
addicted.
key,
Alcoholic.
let myself into the cloning facility, and started clearing it out.
Oh,
I felt kind of
oh,
guilty
God.
for slaughtering all these dumb animals with nuclear weapons, so
It's
I thought I'd
just
try
how you
fist
win.
fighting one of them just to get
Yeah,
my
how'd that
anger
go?
levels back up again. It worked like a charm. Anyway,
Oh,
I
he lost.
blasted some
Okay.
gators, hacked into this computer, and turned off the cloning device. I told Cedo
Nice.
the good news, and he was so excited that he gifted me a rocket-propelled
Oh,
aluminum bat that presumably
nice.
he has engineered himself. Not really
That
clear
looks
on
so
that.
good,
What I
though.
am clear on is that the park now belongs to us. On that
Nice.
note, let's go to the 4th park, the Nuka-Cola bottling plant.
Oh?
An industrial complex which, judging by the automated turrets and unmarked minefields, was probably run by Jeff Bezos. There's also a little section called the World of
Not Jeff
Refreshments,
Bezos.
which I spent some time exploring. And by
Oh, God.
exploring, I mean I
mean-
was pulverizing
oh, fleas.
crustaceans to death with a baseball
look like
bat.
fleas.
Back outside, I was feeling a little guilty about the power disparity between
Oh.
myself and the crabs. So
I
I decided
wouldn't.
to handicap myself by asserting my vertebrate dominance with nothing
What?
but a flare
Flare gun?
This
Oh
was
my
a
God.
massive mistake. Because
Oh,
out
it
of the lake
explodes.
emerged the queen
Oh!
and she's pretty tough. A
She's
direct hit with the
pretty.
nuke
Let her
does
bite
about
your
10%
ass.
damage, and
Oh.
sometimes she likes to spit acid on me and melt off all of my skin. And
you
as
mean
if
your
that wasn't
clothes.
bad
She
enough,
melts off
she
all
has
your
a whole
clothes.
harem of Myra
Oh.
kings to chase me down and pound the shit out of me while I'm
just
reloading.
wanna-
However,
they
I
just wanna
navigated
pound
this
you,
problem
man.
by
Let
applying my
them.
universal solution, which was to take a lot of drugs and run really, really fast. This helped
Yeah, that's
create
the
some
best
distance,
option.
which allowed me to pick off the ads
Oh
before
my God.
circling back and slow motion nuking the Queen Mirelurk to
Rip.
an early retirement. I cannot imagine how embarrassing it must be to have your entire
Oh my
colony
God.
destroyed by this dickhead. But
Yeah,
luckily, she
just a
won't
man
have to
running
worry
around in
about
his
that,
underwear,
because
you
she's
know?
dead, and the bottling plant is now ours. On to the next
Wee,
target.
we win! Kitty Kingdom!
This is
I'm
it,
excited.
The final
I
part,
want Kitty Kingdom.
As a professional YouTuber who owns a copy of Minecraft, this could be the
Oh,
most
God.
dangerous park of them all.
Oh, my God.
Previously a children's theme park
Arson!
with several rides and a castle, it has now been renovated into an industrial gas chamber, with
Oh, dear
radioactive
God.
fumes being pumped into the area
Well?
at regular intervals. Also, it's inhabited by hundreds of feral ghouls, which are relatively easy to
Feral?
kill.
They
However,
just wanna
close
bite
distance
you.
very quickly, and
Oh,
melee combat
damn.
has become substantially more hazardous, thanks to
Oh.
the mysterious stranger who sometimes shows up and nukes the shit
What
out of me.
the-
The only upside is that I have this cryogenic shoulder pad,
Oh.
which sometimes freezes my enemies solid, at which point I can take my
Oh,
time
that's a
knocking
cool
off
thing.
all of their limbs with a baseball
One
bat.
by one.
Anyway, our goal here is to defeat Oswald the Outrageous
Oh.
and seize control of the park. He's hiding somewhere, and I decided to start my search in the
I'd just spam
funhouse.
the
Upon
nuke.
entering, we had to navigate a labyrinth of mirrors, which
Oh.
was fairly easy because none
Yeah,
of the
they're
mirrors were
see-through.
reflective. Instead, they appeared to be coated in several layers of dried ejaculant.
Oh!
However, while I was
Wow.
marveling
Listen,
at the
Reggie. How much dried ejaculant did you use? No one else has gone through there but you, friend!
craftsmanship of the mirrors, I failed to notice the several landmines
Oh,
scattered about
run!
the floor.
Oh!
After limping my way through the maze, I spot Oswald in this control room. I attempt to get
nuke
closer,
it.
and he throws a grenade at me.
Oh
What
my
a
God.
dick. From here, I engage in what was either high-level
Oh!
platforming or low-level astronaut
Oh
training
my God.
before entering the hallway of hypnosis. I won't
Oh.
lie, this
Oh
part
God,
was
that
actually
is- that
mildly
is-
disorienting. In
that is
fact, at
disorienting.
one point, I had to use a dead guy just to confirm I wasn't actually
Oh my-
hallucinating.
Yeah,
I fumbled
that's
my way
crazy.
through this section and
That would
into
hurt
a
my
spinning
brain.
room with about 24 doors
Oh my
all
God.
around it. One door led to that thing that happens when you open OBS.
Oh,
Another presented us
God,
with
not
the
the thing that
illusion
opens
of a happy
OBS,
family.
no.
And of course, there was the classic room
He's-
full of flamethrowers.
Oh my God.
Positively delightful. By the time I found the correct door, Oswald had already escaped. So I
Ripped.
moved on to search for him in King Cola's castle.
Oh,
It
never
turns out
mind,
the park
yep.
has more traps than I thought, not
Yeah.
the least of which are the amusement
Oh,
rides
get on
themselves.
it.
In
Can you
fact,
not
I
ride
have
on that?
personally witnessed several park employees being killed, maimed,
Oh.
or otherwise dismembered by
Damn!
the
Okay,
rides
so the
here,
cars
and it's
would
only
kill
been
you.
like 20
Okay, I
minutes.
get it,
Of
I
course,
get
I
it.
had to try this for myself with the roller coaster carts, and I realized that it's a lot like boxing. When you expect to get hit, it doesn't
Oh?
do that much damage, but it's the punch you don't see coming that will
Whack!
decimate you. After
Yes.
this, I strolled around the park a bit more, killing ghouls and rummaging
Oh.
through garbage bins, until
Find,
I wandered my way
cola?
into some employee tunnels. I sprinted through the tunnels
Oh my
like
God.
a wild animal, at which point I found Oswald talking to one of his
Ooh.
staff members in his office.
Explode him.
Naturally, I wanted to return the grenade he
Explode
had
him.
thrown at me earlier. This
Oh.
did not work.
Oh my
and
God,
I felt
Reggie!
like an idiot. So I just kind of took that one on the chin.
Yeah,
but it
makes
wasn't all
sense.
bad, because after Oswald disappeared in a puff of
Oh.
smoke, I went into the office and found my next stylistic evolution.
No way.
Oh,
Summer
yeah,
show.
this
Oh,
is
wait,
gonna
that's
work just
actually good
fine.
looking.
All
I
right,
like
well, that
it.
does it. There's only
Style.
one place left for Oswald to be hiding.
Style.
The theater. I broke in with all the grace of a homeless drug addict and started talking with Oswald. He was trying to convince me that he has magical abilities, and he said he was going to show me one of his greatest tricks.
Oh?
Then he punched me in the head and ran away. Truly a master of the mystical arts. I followed him up to the roof, where he gave me some shitty story
Oh.
about being a sympathetic villain. But at this point, I was so tired of chasing him around
Yeah.
the park and getting hit by roller
Just
coasters
explode him.
that I
Call
opted
it.
for immediate violence.
Do it.
In response,
Shut up and
Oswald
attack, yep.
unleashed his most powerful magic trick of all, crashing my game.
What?
3 minutes
Nice.
later, we were back, and the fight was on. Oswald was much higher level than me, and he had a grand time cutting off my
Oh my
limbs
God.
with his fancy sword.
Rip.
However, I managed to counter this by simply jumping over
Oh,
a railing, at
that's-
which point
that's
he could
cheating.
no longer stab me. His method of
Oh my
coping
God.
with this was to bathe me in
Oh.
Molotov cocktails, but they don't hurt that
Makes
much,
sense.
and I've got enough drugs to stay up here
Oh.
for weeks. I am aware
an
that this
addict.
tactic borders on cheating, so I'm prepared to negotiate.
Yeah.
Instead
Okay.
of staying up here and nuking Oswald into oblivion, I will instead empty out the entire contents of my junk section into the junk jet and kill Oswald with the physical
Oh.
manifestations of my
Okay,
hoarding
that's fair.
disorder. This included everything
That is
from
fair.
light bulbs to rolls of duct tape, but the primary ingredient was 156
Oh my
stacks of
God,
pre-war
pre-war money.
which I spent the next 20 minutes bouncing off
Oh my
Oswald's
God.
head. This was very enjoyable, albeit not
Oh my
especially
God.
effective, because Oswald seems to legitimately be invincible. I
Yeah.
shot him with 200 junk items.
Oh
He
my
barely
God.
noticed, ran him into 6 fragmentation mines.
Oh my God.
He walked it off. And even when
Oh my
I got
God, he
desperate enough
heals?
to nuke him, he would just reset his health bar.
Yeah.
This kind of freaked me
What
out, so
the
I
fuck?
panicked and shot him like 50 times. At which
Yeah.
point, I realized he wasn't damage immune, just damage resistant. And now
What?
he's dead. I stole his clothing
Okay, that makes
in order to
sense. You
complete
should've
my
nuked him
Charlie
from
and
the
the
start,
Chocolate Factory
man.
cosplay, and quickly
Should've done it
raised
from
the
the
flag on
start.
Kitty Kingdom, indicating our complete conquest over NUKE world. All that's left to do is to go to the power station and press the big red button to finally power up the park. And just like that, we are the CEO of the world's finest slavery-themed amusement park. Which gives us quite a
No,
few
not
benefits. For example, all of the rides are now operational.
Ooh, we get to ride the rides. Yeah. Oh.
And I can't confirm this, but it is my personal
Oh my
headcanon
God.
that we're receiving our electricity from a small armada of slaves
Oh,
running on hamster
hamster.
wheels. Also, we can
Hamsters.
even gather up a gang of raiders
the
and go
wheel.
out into the Commonwealth to recruit more employees through what I like to call competitive hiring practices. So now that we've achieved our primary goal, what's left for us? Well, according to mustache enthusiast
Oh.
Christopher Vogler,
What-
the
where's
final
Mario's
stage
but-
of the hero's
All right.
journey is to return home as a changed man. In our
Yeah.
case, that would be Sanctuary, and as a matter of fact,
Oh.
I am a changed man.
He
Because whatever
is, he's
final thread of
fancy.
sanity had previously prevented me from killing all of these people has finally been severed.
Oh no. Well, here we go. Dun, 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 dun. Name. Oh my God, this is reminding me from Konosuba. Explosion! Explosion!
Well, it's finally over. We've conquered
Nice,
a world
Reggie.
where the only projectile ever
Well,
invented
you did
was
it.
nuclear
You did it.
bombs. I want to thank this month's patrons for supporting the channel. Don't forget to check out Makeshift
Oh, it's
to
so
purchase
cute.
and
I'm
abuse
sad I
my
missed it.
likeness. And
Wait, April
finally,
30th?
thank you
Maybe.
for watching.
This is older. This is so good. It's probably copywritten. I should pause it. It's probably copyright. But anyways, thank you guys for hanging out with me. Thank you for watching Reggie. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I did. I freaking love Fallout 4 and like Reggie's channel. And a lot of you guys said you didn't know who he was. So I hope you can go sub to him. He's amazing. I love his content. He's really funny. He's really funny. But anyways, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you, gremlins, in the next video.